Hello, strong men and women out there. Troy to the max extreme here.
And Ghost Hunter Dave.
And together, we forge ourselves as Imperius Rex.
That's right, we do. Troy, on my mission to bring you joy in life,
yes,
I handpicked another just Golden Age classic. Not from the Golden Age, but it just captures that spirit.
Yes.
And I'm talking about Alan Moore's best-kept secret, Tom Strong. So we did it.
We did it.
We dove into it. Only the first volume.
Yes.
Because that was enough. It left me
enough.
fulfilled. It was a meal in itself.
Boy, was
I'll
it.
come back to it for seconds.
I will definitely come back for seconds. Tom Strong is a book that I needed in my life, and now I'm glad I have.
You've encompassed it very well.
I try.
Yes.
If only I was more barrel-chested, then I could fully be a full-figured guy.
Rather than just a barrel.
Normally, I'd just be wearing a barrel with suspenders on it. That's not the same thing.
No. No. So Tom Strong was part of Alan Moore's America's Best Comics. Ooh, helping yourself to a nice cold glass of milk.
That's right. I'm going to have a steak right after this.
So this came out in 2000, year of our Lord, turn of the century, America's Best Comics, and it was up there along with some of the other titles he put out at that time. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which I believe we've touched on. Promethea, top 10. I think there might have been one or two others too. But wow, what a delivery from Alan Moore.
And what a variety.
Yes.
From Alan Moore.
Yeah. So this is one that I feel like it just doesn't get the attention it deserves. We all know Alan Moore is the really depressing, deconstructing rape aficionado.
Yes.
We need more of this just fun, carefree spirit of a bygone era that is encompassed in Tom Strong.
If you were to put this in front of me, which you did, and tell me it's not Alan Moore, I would have believed you.
Yeah? So holy socks, friends. Make sure to chew your golonka root, subscribe to the Strong Men of America Club, and strap in, because we're talking about Tom Strong. So Thomas Strong, his Christian name, he's born on a mysterious island that his mother and father were traveling to. His father, a bit of a scientist, and he wanted a secluded place where he can just enact scientific experiments night and day. He's all about science, to the extent that he was a pretty terrible parent in hindsight. Once they get to the island and have their child, they immediately lock him in a deprivation tank.
Right.
With a higher gravity rate, so he gets just increasingly strong and durable.
Yes.
And they basically just like foster his intelligence for 13 years until a massive earthquake shakes it up, kills his parents, and breaks open the tank, and he, I don't want to say escapes, because they kind of held him prisoner in there, but he was okay with it, I guess.
I mean, he didn't know any other way.
Right.
His mother wanted to raise him with love and hug him, but she couldn't. But his father wanted to raise him logically.
Yes.
So he's like...
a mix of both?
Yeah, he's a... Oddly enough, he does get a little bit of love in there, even though he didn't receive much.
No. Once he escapes his torture tank, he stumbles across the natives of that island, and they basically take him in. And he grows up among them, learns their ideals, and falls in love with a woman who he takes as his wife. And they have a child of their own who they call Tesla. So he's just got that scientific backbone just running through his body.
And the whole time, since his departure from his weird hyperbolic time chamber, if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, he like fixes up his own little crater in this volcano to become this like hugely scientific, almost coliseum.
Yes.
You could think he's just doing it by himself, because he's, I mean, strong. He could lug all that steel on his shoulder, just throw it up right quick.
That's right.
My goodness. But yeah, it almost becomes like a pseudo, like Wakanda.
Yeah,
you know what
very
I mean?
much so, yeah. I wonder if there's any inspiration from Wakanda in Alan Moore's roots here.
Right. Golonka root.
Yeah, golonka root. My lord, they talk out that golonka root.
They love that bitter taste and shit.
My mouth was watering just hearing about it. But not only does he have the tribe there to have his back, he also engineers a steam-powered robot who he calls Newman, or he adopts it from his father who created it.
Yeah.
And it has his father's voice on like a weird like record deck. They're like a wax cylinder. That I don't know how this works. I guess his dad just recorded him saying like every variation of the English language.
Right.
Is he's like, Tom, I think you need to go this way. It's always making like clicks and skips. So he's got that. Is his right hand man.
Yeah.
Got a bowler hat like this.
Yeah.
That's a connection.
Yeah.
And he also does some experimentation on a gorilla and creates a companion, a very snooty British companion named King Solomon.
I love King Solomon.
And him and Newman are just at each other's throats throughout this whole thing.
Right. I love how proper King Solomon speaks, even though it's like snarky British.
Oh my god.
Stuff. Oh, it's
the
so
Queen's
great.
English.
Yeah.
I love when we get the hint of what's to come with that too. Tom and his wife, I think her name is Dwala, are in bed, and Tom says, he says, so I was thinking about bringing more intelligent life into this world. A companion who could talk to us, you know, the pitter-patter of feet. And she's like, oh, Tom, I always wanted a baby. And he's like, oh, I was thinking about performing innovative brain experiments on a monkey, but we could have a baby.
Yeah.
And then we
Tip for
see,
tap.
and then next scene we see King Solomon.
Yeah.
My God, and the Britishness of King Solomon, as you just said, is off the charts.
How did he get so British?
I don't know. They were never anywhere British.
That
Tom was like American, right? Like,
yeah,
I mean, his parents were.
Right.
That's a great question that only Alan Moore can answer.
Maybe further volumes will speak
I
to
hope
this
so.
question.
My God, some of his best lines include things like, "Toodle pip, until next time, what?" He also calls people jolly rotters and constantly berates Newman by calling him a belligerent brass bumpkin.
What a great character.
What a team, too.
Yeah.
They're a family team. They're very Fantastic Four.
Very much so, yeah. I love the introduction issue here where a child is reading a comic book of Tom Strong wanting to become the strongman.
Yeah. He wants into that strongman club.
And he's reading stories about him on this high-rise not even a high-rise highway.
Yeah.
of this train car.
Monorail.
Yeah. And all this fantastic stuff is happening around him where these sky burglars are trying to burgle the train.
Yeah, what do they call it? Balloon thieves or something?
And he's like, everyone just shut up, I'm trying to read my book here. And Tom Strong's coming down his propeller jack.
Oh my God, his helicopter pack is so great.
Just
so
mopping the floor with
weird little details like that. Out of all of the scientific feats of engineering that he could concoct, they all have a very retro feel.
I love that.
Helicopter pack. How is that the most?
Right. And there's not any flying automobiles or anything like that. It's all cars on wires and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's great. If there's anything flying, it's like a blimp.
Blimp bandits. That's what they're called.
It's great.
Yes. And then after that first issue, which gets you on board, you get welcomed into the Strongmen of America Club. Then it goes in and tells these segmented stories that really reminded me of Planetary.
Yeah.
Some of the greatest issues of that, where it's all spanning to a larger narrative, but you just get these little windows and little pieces of his adventures.
Yes.
And each one he faces a different foe, you know, a dastardly foe of Tom Strong.
Right.
The first one is the Modular Man, which is just this sentient computer made up of all these pieces, and it just starts taking over the world. It's something that Tom thought he wiped out years ago, but it's back, baby. Right. Boner's back, baby.
Somebody found the plans on the internet.
Yes.
Reconstructed the beast.
Dark web.
Yeah.
Yep, and it's taken over, and then Tom Strong comes to the rescue, and he ends up, they reach a compromise where the Modular Man decides to spare Earth, and Tom gives it Venus.
Yeah, like he had any right.
Yeah. It's like, I just got back from Venus. It's okay. You want that?
Not much going on there.
Yeah.
You could go to Venus.
Yeah. Just really talking up Venus.
Module Man. Okay, I'll bite.
You
Sure.
know what? I think I'll go to Venus. And the family dynamic is great here too, because he's away on a trip to Venus, so his family has to immediately come and confront the Modular Man.
Yeah.
And like his daughter is trying to rescue these nerds up in the skyscraper, because they're the ones that reconstructed it, right? These two geeky kids.
Yeah.
And she's like climbing up there, and they're like, "Oh, look at this babe! She's coming to help us!" And then they're like, "Oh, hide the magazine. She'll think we're losers." And then she comes up to the window and she's like, "Can one of you losers give me a hand?"
Yeah.
Just the biggest putzes.
I really enjoyed that part. She would think we're losers. Hide all of our nerd shit. What up, losers?
Tie this rope around yourself so I can carry you down the skyscraper.
But yeah, I love almost like the initial fun story you get of a Tom Strong book doesn't even have him in it. Like well, it does near the end, but like you see his family jump in first.
Some of his further adventures include meeting up with this futuristic conquering race of Aztec warriors in this computer god that they've created, I think called Quetzalcoatl 9.
Oh yeah, Quetzalcoatl?
Quetzalcoatl, whatever the pronunciation is. You know how good I am at pronunciation on the show.
Yeah.
Thank God I didn't have to name any creators. But there's some amazing stuff in that. One of the moments in that issue that I loved is he gets like blasted by a laser, and he's so adept at his own body that he says something like, "Oh, I need to actively control my endorphins to block out the pain receptors."
Right.
Just like, what a legend, this guy.
And also, like, we kind of like failed to mention before, like, but Tom Strong, because of the golonka root, like, has this huge extended lifespan too.
Yeah. Is that from the golonka root?
I can't remember. I think it is like an extended life type of deal.
Get myself some
you
of that
gotta
golonka
get some
root.
of that root, you know?
Just sitting there chewing on the root. Can you imagine? I'd do it.
I would chew on that root.
Chew that root in the next week, baby.
But, like, you realize he's been around for a huge swath of time.
Like a century, right?
Yeah, and so, like, he's met up and had adventures in World War II.
Yep.
And where he initially meets his foes, the Swastika Girls.
That's right. Fraulein Weiss and the Swastika Girls.
Because they come back, baby, in a big way in, like, his near future or his present time or whatever it is.
Yeah, around it.
Grade in the temples by then.
So good. I was wondering if you're gonna do the grade temples out on this.
They're already starting to grade themselves. They don't need any help.
They don't need any encouragement. Yeah, at this point, the ongoing stories start to tell a little bit more of like a continuous tale, but they're still very much like you can just pick up a single issue and have a blast.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of single Tom Strong issues here. Can't find them, so probably edit this part out.
What's good about these, because the main artist who's doing Chris Sprouse, who does
so
like
good on this.
It's like an awesome like throwback to like a modern take on like a golden age type of artwork. But like
so clean.
It is.
Everything in this is so clean and consistently great.
And it's like got like a cartoony bounce to it too, which is fun. So like when he's flung back through time, or whatever, a different artist will take over his like flashback.
Yes.
And it's almost like jarring to see somebody else but Sprouse on the title.
Right.
But then you have somebody like Art Adams on it, which is like
they have such a good roster of guest artists on this. Where every one of them, maybe not everyone, but a lot of them have worked with more on different books in the past. But yeah, what a lineup. They have Art Adams for the initial one, for the World War II story. Then we have Jerry Ordway. We have Dave Gibbons from Watchmen, of course. And it ends with Gary Frank for the futuristic one. And like, man, I wouldn't want to not get Chris Sprouse on this. But if he needs to take a little break and bring in someone else, you couldn't pick better creators on this.
I know.
And each one fits like the era that they tell that story so well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So by the end of this first volume, Tom Strong meets up with one of his age-old nemeses, Dr. Savine, a foe that he thought was long since dead. And
It seems like a lot of his foes are long since dead.
Yeah.
You should really double check more on that shit.
Tom Strong, he's pretty bloodthirsty. But Savine was like a death trap aficionado. He's like the mustache twirling villain that always has like an elaborate scheme cooked up.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom escapes a variety of those along the way, and then finds out, this big kicker, they find out that Savine has teamed up with Weiss, and they reveal that Tom has a Nazi son. Because Weiss extracted some semen while Tom was unconscious in World War II, kept it on ice for the perfect time just to really stick it to him, and then had a kid with him and turned him into a Nazi.
Yeah. That seems more up Alan Moore's alley.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess
That's where
I can
the Moore
see it
stuff
now.
comes back
Yes.
into play.
But they've got him. They've got him right where they want him.
Right.
And they think like, oh, we defeated you. Like,
Right.
what are you going to do? You can't kill your own kid.
Right.
You know, you're a good guy. What are you going to do with this little piece of shit? And then we flash forward for once into the future, and we see like this kid has grown up, and he's a bad apple.
Mm-hmm.
And he's fighting Tom's family throughout history here. And then Tom comes in on his helicopter pack, and he... You know, they beat the kid, and Tom's like, you know what? We're going to fix him. We're going to help him. It's not enough to defeat him. They're just like, we're bringing him into the family. We're going to knock this Nazi right out of him. And I feel like that is what Tom Strong is all about. Like, he isn't there, like, killing people or doing anything malicious. Like, if he has his chance, he's going to try to reform his villains.
Right. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's why they keep coming back. They never stick.
Be. Yeah. Need to put some of these bitches into the ground, Tom. So one of my favorite moments is where Tom's family comes to back him up in present day, and Tom's wife is just livid at everything that's happening. And she puts on these, like, powered gauntlets and just piss pounds that Nazi bitch. To the extent where Tesla, his daughter, is like, my God, Dad.
Pull it back.
And Tom's response to her is, Tesla, when your mother gets like this, it scares me. I think it's best to just stay out of it.
You want any part of this shit?
No. So as it wraps up, we get some twists and turns. We find out Dr. Savine isn't really back from the dead. It's an imposter who Tom Strong just puts to work in like a fair, basically. He holds like a Millennium Fair and just says like, here, impersonate all these villains, and we're gonna charge admission, and we're just gonna have a great time here.
It's for the kids.
Yeah, exactly. Always giving back.
Yeah, right.
And Fraulein Weiss is just like, we need to get out of here, or
Right.
else this bitch is gonna beat my ass. So her and her Nazi son hightail it, and it ends with just Tom and family like watching the new year reign in, and they're just like, man, what a time we've had. It reminds me of Planetary. They've got like the century babies and everything here.
Right, yeah, that was very reminiscent of that.
Yeah, and they're just having a great time watching those fireworks. I'm sure King Solomon says something inappropriately British. And then something racist to the robot. But it left you with like this good feeling.
Yeah.
You know,
I felt like the whole book was like that. Even in the midst of like the action, like his wholesomeness is what usually wins out, right? And I want to reemphasize, Alan Moore, did you actually write this?
Yeah.
Because is this everything that you've been neglecting to put into one book is all here?
Distilled it. The perfect energy. I know, you think like Watchmen and Killing Joke and all these things that he's remembered for, and they're all so like depressing.
Yeah.
And then he's got this just sitting here, hidden under a rock somewhere.
I know.
It's like just waiting to be found. And
I know.
This is another one, just like Astro City that we talked about, another great, like, uplifting superhero story that you can't really easily get your hands on.
Yeah.
I don't know why. This is like such an undiscovered gem in Alan Moore's bibliography.
Right, but because before, I don't even know, like a couple of years ago, I didn't even know this was a thing. Like, I had no idea. And you're like, yeah, this Tom Strong thing, we'll get to it probably eventually, or whatever.
when we need to pick me up.
So yeah, I'm glad it was introduced into my comic lexicon.
That's right. And they also just introduced, I say just, we're always a bit behind, but a couple years ago, I think at DC Rebirth, they introduced Tom Strong into the DC proper.
Did they fold him in?
Yeah, Jeff Lemire wrote him, of all people,
Oh.
he came into the book The Terrifics.
Okay,
But
yeah.
I don't know if anything really became of it. I remember seeing it, I was like, oh shit, Tom Strong! Tom Strong in a DC book!
God dang!
And that was that.
Yeah.
I had my little exclamation, and then I heard nothing else.
Wants to make me look up the Terrifics, because I always kind of like I know it's like it's getting decent enough praise for it, but I was like, it's just a Fantastic Four thing. I get that. I understand what they're doing.
Right.
It's not even that like an inspired of a name.
I know.
But if anyone else has read the Terrifics, let me know. Should I get it?
Yeah,
Tom
is it
Strong's
worth
in it, and I want to look up the
I
stuff
know.
on it now.
And Lemire, like, you know, he's usually a good bet. Although sometimes, like, his superhero stuff, I feel like he kind of phones it in for the big two and saves all his golden eggs for his own independent stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like a 50-50 on if this is any good. But I'd be curious, too. I'd love more Tom Strong.
For real.
And if you do want more Tom Strong, there's like 5 or 6 other volumes, and then a couple kind of spin-off series, too.
Okay.
And you know, we could have done all this for the show, but you know what? It's like a good meal. You just want this one great experience. You're full, and you don't want to push it. You don't want to get too full on
You want to savor it.
Exactly.
You know?
So I think we'll come back to Tom Strong at some point, but right now it just left me completely satisfied.
You bet it did. Did it leave you completely satisfied? Have you ever read Tom Strong? Let us know in the comments.
You ever drank milk?
Down below. That milk was tasty, but also probably a bad idea.
Problematic with all the alcohol that you've ingested.
We also would like to thank our patrons out there for your continued support. If you'd like to consider becoming a patron, we've got a ton of different perks now for a bunch of different tier levels.
That's right. Get yourself one of those physical membership cards for the IMPERIUS REX Mysterious Book Club.
That's right.
Your own Strong Men of America club.
That's right. Milk not required.
No. Lactose intolerant, no worries.
That gives you also access to our Discord, which any tier gets you into that, and you can chat with us all day. So that was Tom Strong. Let us know in the comments down below if you'd like to see more Tom Strong. Is this a thing you want?
Did we revisit this? Do we have a monthly Tom Strong meetup?
Were you also blown away? This is Alan Moore? Let us know. Let's start a chat down in the comment basement. But until then, I have been Troy to the Max Extreme.
And Ghost Hunter Dave.
And we have been Imperius Rex.
Imperius Flex.
So, we'll see you next time.
Goodbye. Bye.